Aujourd'hui, je vais parler de... Well, we're never going to get a dog, because my wifey's actually, personally, quite iffy on the idea. Would Mr. Fluffy like one of those bothersome creatures as part of his entourage and or subjects? And by Mr. Fluffy, of course, I mean me. So yeah, I just want an excuse to compare the pros and cons of dogs versus cats, obviously. Ooh, drink. Hey, Zempuk here. So for those of you who doesn't know me personally, like all two of you, possibly, Mr. Fluffy here is my very first fluffy pet. I'd like to think that I like most furry pet types, but now that we live in a warm state where we see people out and about walking their dogs all the time, it's really got me wondering, right, would I ever have gotten a dog? I mean, if I somehow can convince my wifey to let go of her lifelong apprehension of them, who knows, maybe she was scared by a large dog when she was a kid or something. It's gotta be something like that, right? Because I've seen her around dogs. Dogs like her, but she's very, please go away to them in return. What a sad sight. Those poor doggies just look like they want some pets. Why won't wifey love them back? Anyway, personal reasons aside, let's break down my personal reasons as to whether dogs or cats make better companions. Obviously, internet, don't yell at me please. I'm a pet noob and I've never even had a dog, so half of it is just conjecture. Though if you do disagree and want to change my mind, please comment below and sub and like as well, because you know, social media and all that nonsense. Oh, there you go, Fluffy. Alright, let's go over cats first, right? Because we've already got this guy. Strengths are easy, they mostly keep to themselves, and they keep themselves clean, are relatively low maintenance, they don't need to go outside, but probably would like to, right? And this particular cat, he is so fluffy that I'm pretty sure I'm happier just holding him if I'm ever feeling a little bit down, right? I love the low maintenance part because when we do travel, having a cat sitter come in once a day seems way easier than having to put a dog at a home with strangers or stranger dogs. And while I don't enjoy, scooping cat poop on a daily basis, I'd say at least that's way easier than having to take multiple walks despite weather conditions like with a dog, right? Though to be honest, the lack of a walking requirement may actually be a detriment in the long run, but I think personally I already find plenty of reasons to take walks without having to be a pet requirement, right? And the X factor here is always the fluffiness, right? I mean, Mr. Fluffy, he's just a little squirmy pillow. And I'm not sure if there are enough words that I can think of to describe its lushness and how calming holding him makes me feel. So yeah, no. Cats are great, or rather, this cat is great. I love him so much. Right. Common complaints about cats are obviously that they can be aloof and they scratch stuff, right? Well, this cat isn't particularly aloof at all, right? So that was against my expectations initially. As I read more about the subject, it turns out that cats are just bonded to fewer people and probably has a healthy suspicion of strangers, right? Which I think is kind of like humans. I'm pretty suspicious as well as a person, so I don't think cats and I disagree on this front. As to the scratching thing, well, wifey got Mr. Fluffy here as a kitten and had his front nails or paws clipped. I mean, we can argue whether that was necessary, but it's already done. So Mr. Fluffy at least can't do any real damage when he's pawing at the furniture. I mean, I've read more about that subject in my time as a cat stepdad, and apparently you can train cats to just scratch on a post or something. I mean, I guess I won't have to worry about this subject until we have to think about getting a cat friend for Mr. Fluffy, right? But so far I'd say this complaint can be at least mitigated relatively easily, so not too bad of a fault. Okay, point number 2. Now the fun part about speculating about whether, or as to why other people prefer dogs. I think the big plus is just they're much more friendlier explicitly, right? I mean, every dog I've ever met just wants to hang out immediately upon meeting me. I mean, maybe that's because I've only met dogs that are dogs of friends of mine, right, who are already nice people. I mean, wouldn't a dog owned by a mean person turn out to be a meaner dog? Or at least that's how it looks on TV, right? The dogs simply follow the personality trait of their people. Anyway, I've always found them to be quite warm, and I think... Ooh. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, poor little stuff. He's mad at me. Why is he mad at me? There you go. I hold him like a baby. He gotta be in the clip with me. Anyway, I do understand how this type of incessantly positive personality type might rub some people the wrong way, though, right? I used to compare how dogs act to how I act around ladies, as in probably too eager, and how cats act similarly to how ladies react to me, as in mostly meh. But eventually even I learned that even if I really like someone, I can't just come out too strong right from the get-go, right? And dogs, they're still a bit prone to the coming out of the gates too strong and remaining too strong in their affections type of issue, right? Maybe that's why wifey doesn't like them too much. Or I guess maybe people also like dogs because they can learn tricks. But honestly, I don't think that's too much of a positive for me, because I'm not sure how much time I'd take to train dogs constantly for what essentially would boil down to some party tricks, right? It's not like I'm training dogs to rescue swimmers or something like that. But I will acknowledge the fact that some dogs can literally save lives, and that's pretty cool. I mean, I love my Mr. Fluffy, but in a pinch, I don't think you're going to be able to, save any humans besides meowing to get someone else's attention. And I'm not even sure if you'll be able to do that. You big fluffy foot pillow. Now, common downsides to dog ownership? Well, I definitely think that they take a more explicit work, right? With the walking and grooming. So in this sense, maybe it's more of an upgrade if I wanted to test my responsibility side, right? But I'm kind of glad that my first furry pet is a cat rather than a dog for the same reason. Got to ease myself into it, right? Into the whole being a real adult, being more responsible, taking care of some other creature thing, right? I've also heard that dogs will pretty much eat whatever you try to feed them, unlike with cats who tend to be pickier eaters. I think this is incredibly strange that dogs are that trusting or just oblivious, right? Because don't most creatures have some sort of natural affinity as to what they're willing to ingest? Apparently not so with dogs, and this makes it way easier for them to get sick. I'm sorry to hear that, right? That's very scary to me, especially combined with their trusting nature. I feel like I'd be way more paranoid if I had a dog, around strangers than a cat, right? Mr. Fluffy is very cautious and prone to simply hiding if he doesn't feel, particularly comfortable. And I'd say that generally that's a much better survival strategy than what I've heard about, for dogs. Oh, my wife, he's so happy being here. So finally, do I really have a preference? To be honest, I love cats because I feel like I have to earn their affection, right? And that work makes it feel more worthwhile. So one-on-one comparison, I'd prefer a cat. However, I'm also somebody who's grown up being taught that variety is the spice of life, right? And these two animals are just very different. So if it was only up to me, yeah, I'd probably go get a dog. One, because it'll force me to exercise even more regularly, and sometimes I can definitely use the nudge. And two, he's mad. He's so mad. Why is he so mad? There we go. Sound like a there you go. There you go. He'll feels better. And two, I'd just be fascinated to see how cats and dogs. I'm gonna go get him. There we go. I would love to see how cats and dogs would actually interact, right? I mean, would my household basically turn into a Tom and Jerry type of cartoon situation, or what? That would be kind of hilarious to see. I also think the humans in our household are both quite calm and reasonable people, so I'd imagine our pets would be able to rationally work through their differences, presumably in a human-style delegation-based powwow. Look at this little guy. Anyway, do you guys have cats or dogs or both? Or should I be looking for bunnies or branching out into snakes? I mean, I guess snakes are not furry, but at least I know they're delicious in case they piss me off, right? Anyway, all I want is to hear your stories of pets and how you love them. Because, that's all we really ever want in life, right? Love. Cheers. I'll approach it and I'll stop torturing my poor Mr. Fluffy. It's not old.